Hi, thanks for spending a little time with us today. My name is Steve Salinas. I'm the head of product marketing here at Stellar Cyber. Joining me today is Jen Grolich, co-founder and COO of Legato Security. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks. How are you doing?
Very good. Very good.
So we are a managed security service provider, and we provide services to companies to really help them out with their cybersecurity. So we have services that range from the standard 24/7 security operations center with analysts giving eyes on glass, responding to security alerts, and really handling all of that high level incident response and threat detection that every company needs. But we also have a really robust consulting practice.
So today we're gonna be diving into a topic that is pretty relevant and new around some FEC compliance mandates that were just recently released. Maybe if you can give us a quick overview of that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a new regulation where publicly traded companies are required to disclose material security breaches within their environments. And the reason this is important is because, there are so many companies who haven't established or don't really have a handle on what their incident response procedures are. They might not even know what is considered a material security breach. And the SEC regulation is requiring that you disclose that within 4 days of being notified of the breach or determining that breach as being material. And the regulation also requires that companies have a risk management program. And these are areas where even companies who have put a little budget toward their cybersecurity, maybe they have endpoint protection software, maybe they are monitoring, maybe they're working with the company where they've got that 24/7 operational support. There's not a lot of emphasis or budget or time usually spent on the compliance stuff behind their cybersecurity program. Companies are finding themselves a little flat-footed here because it's not been a requirement before. So sometimes it's tough to get budget until you absolutely have to, and that's really, really true in compliance in particular.
So it sounds like, and I would agree with you, that a lot of the companies, probably aren't ready for this. And when is this due to kick in, or did they set a timeline on when they expect these to be enforced?
So for most companies, it's coming in place December 18th.
Oh, wow.
So it's very, very close. This is really, really relevant, and companies, need to pay attention to this now. There are a few differences in the regulations. Some companies have until, I believe, next July, but regardless, it's within a few months, which is no time in cybersecurity.
What are some of these steps that you might recommend organizations start to obviously they don't have a lot of time, but to take?
I really recommend that people work with experts that do this day in and day out to determine where are my gaps and where do I need to focus my attention first. Because maybe a company has an incident response plan already written. That's a really common requirement for privacy laws, for getting cyber insurance even. And so, many companies might have that on paper, but have they ever exercised it? Do they know how they might detect and respond to a breach? And then just they need to understand if this SEC filing, this regulation affects me, I need to read it. I need to understand, what's there.
So this is impacting the publicly traded companies, but obviously there are a lot more that are not publicly traded. But is this something that even a private company should kind of keep an eye on?
Absolutely. Really, I would argue that every company has a responsibility to secure their data. It's not just their obligation to their customers, their vendors, their, any entity where they may house and contain private data. It's really, it's a reputational risk. It can be a business-ending, damaging event to have a breach that you're not prepared for, either to prevent, detect, or respond to. And so, private companies should be paying attention to this too. But additionally, over the last decade or two, we have seen a lot of laws and regulations passed. Because all of these laws and regulations have been creeping up over the years, presidential executive orders, data privacy laws, now the SEC companies are being held accountable for their data privacy. So it's only a matter of time before, more and more things are put in place that hold, any company responsible for the data that they are responsible for. So many breaches in the past have been caused by a third party compromise. The Target breach comes as a good example. They were compromised because their HVAC vendor clicked on a phishing email and gave up their credentials, and then it was over. And that HVAC vendor wasn't a publicly traded company, and so you can really have an impact that affects a lot of people and a lot of data, even if you're just a small 10, 15, 20, 40 person organization.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think this is a good wake up call for just any organization. If you're getting customer data, couldn't agree with you more. It's your responsibility we rely and trust that you're going to take care of our data, no matter if you're traded on the NASDAQ or not. I think it's a really, really important point. So it sounds like Legato Security can help with a lot of these requirements. So what are some of the things that you are helping with, or that you can help with companies to meet these regulations?
Absolutely. So, we do have an SEC regulatory and compliance readiness assessment that we have created, as well as a service. And so, we understand that, especially for small businesses and mid markets, it doesn't make sense for you to go hire 6 or 7 people to clean up your security program and manage it for you. And that's exactly what many of our services were designed to assist companies with. And so, we have one specifically around this SEC readiness, and that includes an incident response plan review or development if you don't have one, a tabletop exercise for that. And what that means is, with all of the stakeholders, we develop a scenario. Okay, you've been breached. Now what? And we really exercise what that plan is saying, so that before we're looking at a real life breach, we know, oh, hey, this communication wasn't there, or this didn't go to plan, or I realized that, these computers don't have the right protections on them. And so we can help you fix that and make sure, all of the gaps are being addressed and discovered. And that also includes a risk management evaluation. So, every company needs to have some sort of risk management program around that. And it's more than just incident response. It's, where are your backups stored? How are you protecting your systems? Do you know what's on your network? Do you know where your risks are? And that's super important. That's really one of the first steps. So, and then, we will give you reporting and filing guidance. And, one of the biggest value adds, I think, where our team can provide is we will perform hands-on keyboard remediation of security events. And that is really rare amongst service providers like ours, where most companies like ours will say, hey, at 3 a.m, we saw a problem on your firewall. Here you go. Now you get to go run it down and figure it out and decide, is this really a problem, and fix it. Our team will fix it for you and then tell you the next day, hey, we blocked this thread on your firewall. Here's what happened. Here's what you need to know about it. But it didn't cause any damage because we were there to stop it. And that's really, really valuable, especially for, companies that have smaller security teams or no security teams at all. So, we can fill any cybersecurity gap you may have and give you some peace of mind.
Well, it sounds like you're offering a lot of really great services that can really be lifesavers for these companies that are just finding themselves ill prepared as the more data compliance and requirement regulations are coming. Is there anything else you think that might be coming down in the future? I mean, or do you have any sense for what might also be coming down the path for companies?
Sure. I really think that we're going to be looking more strict data privacy laws, more requirements, breach notifications. Many states already require that you disclose a breach to them if customer data within their state has been affected. And this is true of private companies and public companies. So I think that a lot is going to happen to hold companies accountable for for caring about security. But I promise any company that is facing an incident or a breach, if they've done that prep work and gotten their ducks in a row beforehand, they never regret spending the time and money they did beforehand. So, it's definitely, a lot of companies are in these situations, and not everybody's doing it perfectly, and that's okay. So, we can help you get from where you are to where you need to be.
Well, great conversation. Thanks for spending a lot of time with me today on this. And if anyone has any questions about Legato Security, make sure you click on the link. It'll be below this video. Or if you have any questions about Stellar Cyber and what we can offer in our Open XDR platform, definitely reach out to us to set up a meeting.